How many major motion pictures and TV series do you think have been made here in Utah? Can you name some of them? I don't know, Stagecoach, Planet of the Apes, Maverick, Grizzly Adams, The Sandlot. Well, you know, the number isn't measured in dozens or even hundreds. It currently sits at just under 1,000. So along the same vein, how much economic impact does that translate into? In aggregate, that's hard to calculate, but just considering the 5 projects currently underway in Utah, the state estimates that they will have $36 million of direct impact on Utah's local communities. So that is what we're going to look at today on the county seat, the State Film Commission and its relationship to Utah's counties. We will start with our basics, a look at what lures movie producers to Utah in the first place.
If you had to make a list of why people should choose Utah to make a movie, what would be on it? Well, one thing to consider would have to be the scenery. Utah has some of the most iconic landscapes in the entire United States, perhaps the world, or maybe even the universe. Doesn't matter what backdrop you want for your movie scene, Utah is likely to have a real landscape that will fit the bill. Another would have to be proximity. You can cross the state from one end to the other in a period of 7 short hours. Most landscapes, from alpine to the surface of another planet, are within 2 hours of each other. A modern city and a small town from the turn of the 20th century, not even 30 minutes apart. You would also have to include a willing labor force. Utah is a right-to-work state, meaning that film producers can choose to use union or non-union labor force. There are 5 universities and 2 community colleges offering courses in filmmaking across the state, each with a long list of graduates. Another plus is that Utah communities are quite welcoming to outsiders coming in to take on a project. Most communities embrace films heading their way. Finally, Utah is a very business-friendly state as far as creating an easy path to set up shop. With so much going for it, why aren't all films made in Utah? Well, even with all the pluses that Utah brings to the movie-making table, movies still take money, tons of it, and with how few of them make buku bucks, the risk to make a movie can be staggering. That is why many states, some with fewer assets found on our list, are offering money to movie companies to come spend their movie-level budgets in their local communities. To stay competitive, Utah is also in the tax incentive game. To help bring movie crews to Utah's local communities, the state of Utah has provided tax incentives to encourage films to come to Utah. The state will pay up to 25% tax credit or a cash rebate. That's quite an incentive to move your production here. But it is not just a handout for movie location bragging rights. There are also strings attached to that money to ensure that Utah benefits from being the on-location capital of the world. As an example, to qualify for the incentive, the production has to use a percentage of Utah crew members on the production staff and spend a good amount of the budget on Utah goods and services. These strings prove to be a windfall for local communities when a movie does get that green light to film. Think about it. Sometimes a crew of a few hundred people shows up to shoot in a certain location. These people need a place to sleep, eat, and places to relax on the little time that they do have off. The locations also get notoriety and exposure for filming a movie in their town. Exposure that can lead to new tourist dollars in the future. Of course, it doesn't hurt a town to be known for having a famous Hollywood actor stay there. So what does all this incentive look like when it comes to a county? We will find out when Chad comes back to talk to the state and a local county film commission on the county seat.
The Utah Farm Bureau began as a collection of farmers supporting each other to raise the food we enjoy. Today, Farm Bureau membership encompasses everyone, whether ranchers, growers, or just everyday folks like you and me. Members enjoy discounts on items like vehicles and ATVs, or insurance that's very affordable. You don't have to be a farmer to join, and dues are small, but together we make a big difference in keeping our food supply local and abundant. Join Utah Farm Bureau.
There's a little place on a Utah map where I was raised is where my heart's at, where the sagebrush grows wild and high, and the stars come out at night. Oh, there ain't nothing like being raised in the basin with a Ute reservation, skiing starvation, that Duchesne County life.
If you're looking for gold at the end of the rainbow, you'll probably be disappointed, because in Paiute County, the only thing you'll find at the end of a rainy day is the promise of adventure. Highway 89 is your access point through Marysville and the historic trails of Bouillon Canyon. Find yourself in the mountains 1 minute and the desert the next as you follow in the footsteps of the pioneers. Whitewater raft, fish, hike, all within a few minutes of a comfortable bed and a warm meal. Find out why the world has made Paiute County its off-road destination. Paiute County, the place where the rainbow ends.
Too often we find ourselves in shoes like these, or these. Wouldn't it be nice to change into something more like this, or this? How about these? Put on whatever shoes you prefer and come to Beaver County. We have exactly the adventure you need to put under them. So the next time you want to change out of these, come to Beaver County where you can jump into a pair of these. Beaver County, Utah. Lace up for adventure.
Welcome back to the county seat. We're talking about films in Utah today, what kind of impact they have on rural counties. Joining us for our conversation is Virginia Pierce, who is the head of the Utah Film Commission. And we're also joined by our good friend Kelly Stoll from Kane County, who is the Film Commission Director for Kane County. And Kelly has lots of stuff filmed all over down there.
Yeah. Another beautiful place to take pictures.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. Were you the first county to do movies or become recognized for it? The Perry brothers, they kind of recruited film out there, didn't they?
Yeah, Utah has an extensive history with filmmaking, and it goes back to the 1920s. The famed Perry brothers, who were based out of Cedar City, and they went to Los Angeles and promoted the area for film, and the first film came in about 1924. They took the rail up from LA to Cedar City, and the rest is history.
How does the Utah State Film Commission, seems to me that they became an entity or a powerhouse around the time Calvin Rampton was governor in the 60s, and it was like, let's really make something out of the geography of Utah. Tell us a little bit about the Film Commission.
Yeah, well, I mean, as Kelly said, we've had such a long history in film, and we've had some boom periods and some smaller periods. And I think in the 60s and early 70s, there was another boom period going. And I think in northern Utah, they started to say, well, maybe we need some sort of state agency that can help regulate and help encourage film production in the state. And so the Film Commission started in 1974, and we really exist to market the state of Utah. The locations obviously are our #1 selling point. We have the gorgeous, red rocks in the mountains and all of the things that people love about Utah. We also promote our crew and our talent and our industry resources that we have here. And really, we are able to compete against much larger film programs in states because of the natural resources that we have.
I find that interesting that you have so much stuff here. You have so many resources. I mean, if I were a filmmaker and I wanted to be efficient and say, okay, I need a small town, I need a big city, and I need a remote location, and within an hour I can do all of them if I go down to Kanab.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I've got all the things that I need. I can send somebody out to find set locations. That should be enough incentive to get them there, but we really have to compete with a lot of tax incentives. How did that happen?
Yeah. Tax incentives have been sort of the name of the game for feature films in the last 20 years. States like Georgia and Louisiana saw an ability to compete and take some of the business from California, and they started a tax incentive program. It really was a tax credit back on what you spend. And Utah got in the game around 2004-ish, and our current program has been in existence since 2011, which is part tax credit, part cash rebate, and really meant to allow us to compete with some of those bigger states, because it is, most states and countries around the world do have some kind of tax incentive program, so it's really built into the budget of most feature films.
Yeah. The incentives help us become more competitive. Otherwise, we wouldn't be getting some of these projects, and we just have to be able to compete. and this is one of the ways.
Does that make you feel bad that you've got all this beautiful film country down in Kane County and that you have to bribe somebody to come enjoy your beauty?
Well, we don't have to bribe all of them. It's a select few projects that take advantage of the incentive. It's not all of them. And we have a range of projects from TV shows to commercials to the music videos, all the way to the big productions that are big enough to take advantage of the incentives.
What kind of restrictions apply, saying if you want us to give you some of our tax money, what are you going to do?
Well, this incentive program, as we said, is set up to allow us to compete, but it also is an economic driver. So first and foremost, you have to prove that you're going to be spending a significant amount of money in Utah. Our major program, our motion picture incentive program, starts at $500,000 spend. And most of the films that we're looking at are spending over $1 million. That's on the ground spend in Utah. That doesn't include the Tom Cruise salaries, because he's not a Utah taxpayer. It really is about spending money in Utah with Utah businesses and hiring Utah locals. Those are a requirement to spend a certain amount of money and to hire a certain amount of crew.
So when you say a $500,000 spend, that means you just can't spend $500,000 on Best Boys. You have to hire Best Boys from Utah to make the whole thing happen.
Right.
Does that really help counties out?
It does. We've benefited greatly from the film incentive program, from the Utah Film Commission in general. I hate to just focus on the film incentive because that's just a tiny little piece of it. We get a lot of referrals from the Utah Film Commission, for instance, that they become the point of contact for a lot of production companies, and they're able to help direct them to where they need to go.
Well, we use our regional film commissioners a ton. Obviously, we need those people on the ground around the entire state to help us. If someone wants to shoot in Kane County, I don't want to answer those questions. I want to look to a local who really has the resources and knows the area. Kelly's done an outstanding job of really knowing his area and the businesses and resources he has to offer.
Do you go out to recruit those sorts of things? What do you do to bring business to Utah other than tax incentives?
We do. We make quarterly trips to LA, so we're spending a lot of time talking to studios. We're talking to commercial production houses. Commercials really are a huge part of the investment that happens in rural Utah because they do come for the location. So imagine your car commercial, your tire commercial, your trying to think of some of the other big ones that have shot.
There's more products in the world than ever right now, and it's my goal that we have something being filmed all the time.
Yeah. So we really use we use those trips to LA to make sure that, even the same way that the Gouldings did in 1940, they went out to LA, they showed pictures of Monument Valley to John Ford and convinced him to come to Monument Valley to shoot his film Searchers.
And stay at their lodge in the process.
And stay at their lodge. Very smart business move. And we're doing the same thing. We're showing locations, we're talking about the resources, the great crew that we have, and really we've built up such an industry here that it's an easy place to work.
So how big of an impact is this to somebody like Kane County?
Along Virginia's point, we get a lot of repeat business as well. So we form relationships with production companies, and we become the go-to place for them because we have a lot of the landscape diversity. You've got everything from the high mountain forest to the desert to whatever you need.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it speaks to Kelly's ability to kind of get out there and hustle and market the county, and I think other counties could learn a lot from that because it is about someone who shoots a commercial in Kanab and knows now that Kelly knows all of the people and knows how to get what they need. Then when they're thinking of shooting their next commercial, they could go a wide variety of places, or they could just call Kelly and he could set it up for them.
If you've got these people coming, a commercial, let's say they're doing a 30-second commercial and they've picked a location. How much money does that actually bring to a community? How long are they there? How many rooms do they take? That sort of thing.
Well, it depends on the size of the crew and how long they stay and all those things. And some of them can be massive and unmanageable and overwhelming, I should say, but some of them are small, and we definitely like the big projects. Like I say, the big projects write big checks.
Yeah, give me an example of one.
Well, the Nick Cage film. So Room 10, a film with Nicolas Cage shot in Kanab 2 years ago.
February of 17.
And their Utah spend was a little over $2 million. And I would say at least half of that was spent in and around Kane County.
Yeah. And they came for a month to shoot the film and shot at several local businesses, including a hotel that usually closes down for the winter. So this was a shot in the arm for them that they were able to stay open, and they did a big makeover of the hotel, and it was a really fun project, and it instills a lot of community pride as well. There's the direct spending and the direct economic impact, but I think there's this whole other side of it where it makes you proud to be where you're from, and people are posting pictures of the hotel, and Nick Cage is here making a movie. And
what kind of things does a movie crew buy when they're in town? I mean, obviously, if they rent the real estate that they use for sets.
Yeah, location rentals.
Yeah, locations.
Hotels are a huge part of it. Meals.
Yeah, food.
Crew salaries.
Yeah, local crew. We try to have a crew base that we can plug in as much as we can. Sometimes the jobs are highly specialized and we don't have that, so they do bring in a lot of their people. So gasoline and
equipment rental.
Do they wipe out the hardware store?
Yeah, they have
shortage of duct tape.
Construction.
Yeah.
We had a movie a couple years ago that they ended up painting the inside of a cave. It was out on some private property. They spent several days painting the inside of this massive cave, and they bought a lot of paint to do that. And the local hardware store was just great. They just loved it. They'd meet them early, do whatever they needed to do to take care of them. And that's the attitude that we try to have, is a business-friendly, can-do attitude.
Does Utah have a good base of people that permanently reside here that are specialists in film? I make fun of Best Boy because it's just the fun thing on credits.
Right. We definitely do have pockets. So all along the Wasatch Front, we have probably around 800 highly specialized, highly skilled professional crew members that have been working a long time in the industry. Southern St. George, we have less than that, but still a few significant professional crew. Moab is another pocket. But it is about, we're trying to also help regional communities at least have the basic, what we call the PA, so production assistant. It's sort of the go-to, run around, do errands, but know how to behave on a set. So we have a program where we're helping regional communities train those people up so that they can say, sure, we don't have a camera operator that can work at the level on a Nick Cage film that you'll need, but we do have plenty of people that know how to behave on set. They know how to be quiet. They know how to wear the headset and talk on the radio and all those things that you sort of take for granted.
Yeah, well, and then extras.
Extras,
we have a pool of extras, and we did a casting call for a large production last October, and over 3,000 people responded.
What is the one thing people should know about the film industry in Utah that our viewers don't know?
On a state level, the film industry brings in almost $70 million last year, which is a significant part of our diverse economy. And it's also, as Kelly said, it brings some cultural pride. I think we all can point to the Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Searchers, Stagecoach, all of these classic films that have shot in Utah, that many of them in rural Utah, 127 Hours, Thelma and Louise, that we want to continue to have those films shoot in Utah so the next generation can have those classic movies to shoot.
Of the $70 million, how much should we pay in tax incentives?
In $70 million, it's around 20% that we pay.
So we come out ahead.
Yeah.
Locally.
Yeah.
Well, Kanab is known for being Little Hollywood, and it just wouldn't be Little Hollywood without some filmmaking going on. And so just like it was happening decades ago, it's still happening now. And we'd invite people to get involved and get registered with the State Film Commission if you're interested in working in the business. And a lot of the colleges have programs, and so people should get involved, and it's a great business to work in.
Good. Thank you so much. Kelly, thanks for driving all the way up from the movie set to come up here for our little humble studio set. Appreciate it very much. Virginia, thanks for taking the time. We'll be right back. We're going to take a personal look inside the movie industry to see how really advanced it is here in Utah when we come back on the county seat. We'll be right back.
Planning your next conference or corporate event? The Davis Conference Center offers 70,000 square feet of flexible meeting and exhibit space, plus high-tech audio-visual services that will make your event a success. Whether you're planning a training, meeting, company retreat, wedding, or large convention, let the staff at the Davis Conference Center help you arrange your next event. Located east of I-15 in Layton, call 801-416-8888 or visit davisconferencecenter.com today.
For 7 years, Utah's Community Voice has been the county seat, a program that looks beyond politics to spotlight the issues and stories that really matter to you and your community. Now you can help set Utah's agenda for the future by joining the conversation. Become a county seat sponsor and help support those conversations that are critical to the future of state government. Contact us at 801-947-8888 to make your contribution to help the voice of Utah be heard like never before.
What would you do with an extra day in Utah Valley? Explore the Wasatch Mountains? Snap a family photo at Bridal Veil Falls. Cool off on Utah Lake or the Provo River. No matter what you're searching for, you can find it in Utah Valley. Bring everyone together.
Welcome back to the county seat. Now, I have had the opportunity to work on a couple of major films here in Utah when I was much younger and more dashing. As is the broadly accepted perception, I was working with Hollywood directors, photographers, and casting agents. But did you know that for many prominent filmmakers, Utah is not a place they rent to make a film, it is a place where they live, as we find out today on the ground.
Been shooting in Utah for 16 years, 17 years. Have done productions all over the state, St. George to northern Utah.
And we love Utah because of the great diversity that we have in locations here. You can go from snowy mountains down to the desert within a half-hour drive.
So one of the reasons that Utah is such a great place to film is that we have such talented crew, such talented actors, and also that film studios are being built. There's an amazing film studio in Park City that's been built. It's very state-of-the-art.
We're at Utah Film Studios. It opened in June of 2015 with the TV series Blood and Oil from ABC. They were in the building for about 6 months, and we've had an assortment of independent film, commercials, music videos, corporate events ever since, and now we're hosting the TV series Yellowstone. The studio serves as a platform for a lot of different things. For, of course, job creation. When a show chooses Utah and then ultimately chooses the studio, that all leads to, a lot of jobs in the film industry, all different departments. A platform also for the local economy, for the hotels and the people who rent out condos, and our hardware stores and laundry facilities and the restaurants all benefit from having a show like Yellowstone or other shows that are here for months and months at a time.
All our key crew members are from Utah. So our production designer, our costume designer, our cinematographer, our writers, our producers, they're all local Utah-based because we have a great talent base here.
Utah's such a wonderful state for a support system, for financial support, as well as physical support of, any amenities that you need. We have in the state. Rental houses are very prevalent in the state, as well as a talented actor and crew pool.
The Film Commission's excellent, the crews here are amazing, the landscapes are amazing. We do a lot of science fiction and fantasy, and in those genres it's important to try to not look like Earth or try to have something fantastical or imaginary, and there's nothing more impossible and outlandish than Utah landscapes. So we kind of we shoot in a lot of remote locations and do a lot of stuff all around the state to get the very best that there is in Utah.
We love filming here, and that's what keeps us here is this vast array of beauty that we have available to us.
We will be right back with a closing look at the movies here in Utah.
This is what adventure looks like, and here's what it sounds like. Southwest Utah's Iron County offers some of the most iconic trails within the state that include 200 miles of new trails to be discovered. Check out ironcounty.net for info and interactive maps for your complete guide to off-roading. Explore countless miles of trails in the heart of Dixie National Forest, the gateway to Utah National Parks, Iron County.
Mountains to explore. Adventure to be had. A town to fall in love with. Yes, all that in Park City, Utah. Start planning your fall adventure at visitparkcity.com.
149 million years in the making, dinosaurs once roamed this land. Now they're found at the Dinosaur National Monument. Let's take you beyond the bones. We call it Dinosaur Land. You'll find it offers adventures and sights not seen anywhere else in the world. Come to Dinosaur Land, Vernal, Utah. You'll want to stay forever. The dinosaurs did.
Look south to adventure. Look south to beauty. Look south to San Juan County. Out here, the road goes on forever, and what you'll find will change how you see the world. Climb on your OHV and discover forgotten landscapes and vistas that challenge the imagination. From Blanding and Monticello to the cliff faces of Monument Valley, we're open and ready for you to explore. San Juan County, Utah's Canyon Country.
Welcome back to the county seat. We thought we would close the show back where we started, trying to recount the movies that have actually been made in Utah through the years. From practically every corner of the state, at some point in time, a movie or a TV series has been made here. So we leave you today with a few of the images from the 1,000 films of Utah.